Maybe I should have beginning. But anyhow, as you can see, the angle that we're trying to cover is ICP. And maybe we should start with, for the people that, yeah, we everybody know what's ICP, or that's what I thought. But then when I started talking with people like, so what's ICP? And then I've realized that we should dedicate it like a few minutes just for high level overview of what is the ICP. And I have to mention that when we are looking at ideal client profiling at Bisbee, we're actually basing it based on the framework, which is actually covered in Sweet Leads, harness the prospecting power of LinkedIn and email to fill your calendar with qualified high value B2B meetings. Wow, it sounds very long when I read it like this. But actually, I've published a book a few years ago where we captured every part of the outreach and we had some really nice frameworks on the B2B ideal client profiling. And of course, in years, things change, but frameworks remain the same. And maybe that should be the starting point here on what are we doing and how are we doing it. And for some general information for everybody, when we're talking about the ideal client profile defining, there are like 4 things in total that you should look at. So if you think about it, we start with the internal forces. You're like, well, if I'm a company, what are my strengths, what I'm good at and stuff? And then I'm looking at the external forces where we're like, well, I'm good at something, but what are the opportunities on the market? And based on these two struggling forces, you're actually figuring out what's the ICP, whether it's related to the industries, to the firmographics, what positions within those companies. And then the fourth part is actually, well, this ICP is for sales. It's not for a business planning. So we need to figure out how we can apply this to start some sales conversation starters. And I actually have even a more scarier picture here. Here is it, which I actually wanted to go a step deeper on these 4 steps, is that when we're looking at the ideal client profile framework, well, again, when we're looking at the company strengths, we first have to know what type of company is it. I mean, if it's a specialist, like we are a digital marketing agency that specializes in e-commerce stores, well, that's kind of figuring out what's the target audience because they're specialists and they have a really narrow target audience compared to generalist, where we are a software development company and we can help anybody about everything. And that requires much more effort in narrowing down what's the target audience. Because when it comes to a generalist, anyone can be your target. But for the purpose of outreach, this is not type of client, but ideal clients of type of clients, which means the focus is to figure out what are the most profitable and actually the best clients. Next thing that we can look at the internal forces is what are the benefits versus features. I mean, this sounds like a software development company. What are features? What are benefits? But many times we're like, yeah, we can do this service and this service, or our software has this benefit and that benefit. But at the end of the day, the clients are actually interested in the benefits, how it can help them rather than actually what do you have to offer. And based on that, you can actually identify multiple target audiences based on that benefits. And interesting third part is that we always say this, but as we're trying to navigate uh, through the type of companies you worked in the past, not every client that you worked in the past is a good client. So then we have to do another filter where we're saying, well, which one of these we actually enjoyed working? So great clients, we were actually able to provide value to them. And at the end of the day, they were willing to pay, because without that, you don't have a business. And you see, for something that's internal, it grows into a big bidder framework that can be then used to start navigating toward the external part. Because from here, you can have a pretty good idea who do you want to target. So then you're just saying, well, can I now confirm and validate my hypothesis? And then we're looking at different specific market needs. Then we're looking at the industry maturity. Is it a growing industry or is it shrinking already? And most importantly, we're looking at the competitors. It's like, well, what markets are they serving? Are there any markets that are underserved? Is there any benchmark that we can learn from our competitors? And only then we can discuss about trends and opportunities into B2B ICP. And when we're saying the B2B ICP, what is different between the B2C, where it's a human, here we're like, what industries are you going to target? And what firmographics, like size, like geography, location of the company, and then what positions, because at the end of the day, you're not targeting a company, you're actually targeting specific people and roles within that company. So what are the functions? What is the seniority? What is the title? Are you after the tech department? Are you after the C-suite or after the operations? And only then you can start thinking about sales. How can you get to them and how you can start engaging into a nurturing conversation? You can research for some position specific roles, topics. You can search for some company specific topics or even a more high level industry specific topics. So that's all the theory for today. I mean, we wanted to have it as a starting point. So when we're gonna continue talking deeper to have an idea of why are we saying what we're saying, but at the end of the day, this is the framework that we're gonna follow throughout the progress. Now, I think that the next part was that when we can start, now that we have the ICP, we can actually see how we can utilize some degree of automation that can actually help us in the automation.
Yeah, before we get into that, I have some questions maybe
Of
that we
course.
can cover based on what you just shared. I mean, you point out the importance of identifying the ICP and how important it is to have a successful campaign, but we didn't talk about the risks if you didn't identify your ICP properly. So what can be the impacts generally and to which extent?
Well, it's pretty simple. If you have a general approach like I can target everyone with everything, the message will be very weak. Because if you're reaching out to, I would put the sample of marketing agency targeting e-commerce stores. If your message is we are a marketing agency, we can help everything about everybody that is related to marketing, people are like, yeah, right. But if you know that you're targeting Shopify e-commerce stores, then the whole messaging, the whole content, the whole social content and case studies can be tailored and laser focused to that target audience. Then the narrative changes like we actually worked with a lot of Shopify e-commerce stores and we actually helped this and this of your competitors. You can even do name dropping. And this is the kind of result that we managed to achieve. And that adds a lot of relevancy. Rather than that just being a spammy guy with a lot of generic messages, you're actually laser focusing it and not even on the e-commerce store, but within the CEO or within the financial or marketing department within that industry. And that gives not by 10, but more than 50 times better results because they feel that you're actually talking to them rather than we are general, we can help everybody. And I think that that is how the ICP emerged as a need. Rather than let's just randomly start helping people, or start knocking from door to door, and hopefully someone will buy. With the ICPs, how we can smartly narrow it down to the type of companies that have the highest probability to buy. Because we all have a limited budget. If we had 1 billion in sales, well, you can target everybody, but usually smaller companies, smaller budgets. And if you have $100, how or ICP should help you which companies to target and allocate that budget to get the biggest impact.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So in summary, it's saving a lot of resources and money and time, and also making sure that the message is transferred to the right people, and then you get high quality meetings, which is the goal of your campaign. So
Exactly.
perfect. Okay, so also I wanted to say, in addition to this, that the ICP is also important because when you identify the ICP, it can impact like the whole outreach efforts that you are later going to do. We are going to cover some of these topics in the next webinars, but some of the most important things is that based on the ICP, you then need to optimize your LinkedIn profile accordingly, write the messages, as you said, accordingly to resonate with those people, and also ultimately to prepare your offer to actually be related to your target audience, because that's also important, not to use the same offer for everybody, but to be very specific with what you offer to a particular target group. So let's go back to the automation. If I can summarize like the BISB framework, we are generally like looking into the internal forces, external forces, and based on that, we get to the firmographics. But yeah, I can say from experience that although the framework works really well and it gives us the answers that we need for our ICP research, it is time-consuming process. And that's the reason why we're actually taking a look at these tools that can help us to improve this process and make it more efficient. So for example, just one example, if we take a look at the internal part, analyzing like all of your portfolio of clients and figuring out in which industry they are, which size, how you collaborated with them and so on, to find some pattern between them that can take hours, or I don't know if it's hundreds of companies, maybe even days. While with these tools, the idea is that the whole process can be speeded up by just sharing your portfolio or your website or a short description of your company and what you do. And then these tools can give you the answer or guide you through the answer of your perfect ideal client profile. I have a few only listed here that I found to be easy to use, free to use, and that can give you some really good starting point for identifying your ICP. So if you don't mind, I will share my screen and we can take a look at those together.
Yeah, so I should stop sharing my screen so you can share it, I assume. Yeah,
Let me check.
I've stopped sharing
Yes.
my screen.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, to give you some background, when I was testing these tools, I used the same logic for all of them. I took our company BizB as an example. So all of the instructions that I give to these tools were based on that, to what BizB is offering and our website. So we can compare and see actually what will be the outcome of all of this and how we can use them for identifying the ICP. So this is the description that I use. I gave like 2 sentences of what we're doing and how we're doing it without mentioning anything about our target audience. And in addition, I put our website as to support my my prompts, let's say. So the first one, it's a free tool, very easy to use. You just need to put some short description or a website of your company and click on generate ICP. I already done that and I have the results here. So I have like the firmographics, as you explained. So actually, basically, first the demographics of the people. So for my company, ideally business professionals age 30 to 55, located in North America and Europe. That's based on the description and the website. These are the titles: sales managers, business development, marketing directors, and C-level executives, small to mid-sized businesses and growing enterprises. And the industries are technology, software as a service, professional services, and financial services. So I agree to some extent. I don't agree with some of the things because I know what we are targeting and we've researched this a lot. But let's go a little bit deeper and then we'll go back to the conclusion. We have information about the revenue, so it goes one layer even more than just the basic firmographics of the companies. The location was included before. So yeah, the first part is for the people, the second part is for the companies. And then it also gives us some psychographics and key characteristics of these people, how they are making their decisions, what's their main pain points, how we can attract them actually or influence their decision, what we need to offer through which channels, how to make our approach to resonate with them, and how to focus our sales activities. So it really gives a deep instructions, not just on who the target audience can be, but how you can approach them, what kind of message, I don't know, offer them case studies or some free value I saw somewhere, yeah, free consultation. So that can trigger them to respond or to come on a call. So it's really interesting. And I think that from here, it get our ICP like to a really high extent, except that maybe we don't really work a lot with financial services, maybe financial services that are particularly B2B oriented or are SaaS providers, but it's still okay. But based on the description and the website, it gives me a good guidance. And I think that, yeah, even they put a note here that this report is structured to guide marketing and sales efforts for your B2B lead generation agency effective. So it's a good keyword that is just a guide, and then we can
Yeah,
still
but
explore this further. Yeah, go ahead.
if I can just ask, so that means it's not just a generic ICP builder, but it is
Yeah.
specific for marketing and sales activities. And I was just curious, I mean, Lizer.tools or Lizer.tool or something, I don't know the pronouncing.
It's Alizer.ai, I believe
Uh-huh. And
the
I was just
general website.
curious. I mean, based on this description that you put, you could have get it on your own that this is the target audience and thing, but how much time would it have taken you in order to get to this data?
Yeah, that was my point when I started talking about that if I start to analyze our website, all of the companies over there, which are a few hundreds, and what we've done for them and so on, that would take hours, and this was within seconds. So I just put the description, click on the button, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's a starting point. Of course, you need to keep on from there, but as a starting point, it's a perfect spot.
Yeah, exactly. So the next examples are, let's say, similar, but let's take a look at them. We have Clay. Clay is really popular tool. And by the way, just to say here that these tools, we don't have any advertising purposes with this, or I don't know, partnerships. It's just tools that we think are beneficial.
Why not?
Just a disclaimer. So Clay is very popular, especially when it comes to prospecting and actually finding the target audience, building databases and so on. But I found that they also have a free AI generated ICP, and it works also really easy. Like you put just your website domain here. It's like a table actually, and you can add new rows, and for each row you can add a new website, and it works in the same way. And you put just the website and it automatically creates all of this. As you can see, it works with ChatGPT in the background, but I believe that Clay has integrations with many tools, so maybe these columns can be edited and you can add alternatives that can give you more specific results, but this is enough for giving the example. So the first outcome is the ideal client profile, and it suggested like three different personas. And when talking about the ICP, maybe we can go one step back. We can differentiate what is an ICP and what is a buyer persona. So ICP focuses more generally on the firmographics, the company size, industries, positions, and so on. While the buyer personas are more focused towards the behavioral characteristics of the people, how they act, what triggers do they have, where you can find them, and so on. So this tool actually gives me the summary of both ICP and the buyer personas. And I have Sarah, the startup visionary. So co-founder and CEO of a tech startup. She wants to grow. These are her goals. These are her challenges. This is what she cares about. So based on this, my whole outreach efforts can be dedicated more in a more personalized way, with using this information. Then I have Mark, the small and medium enterprise operations manager. And this got me really curious because I was a little bit worried why my Mark actually appeared here, but then I figured it out. And the last one is Linda, the aspiring entrepreneur. And if we take a look at Linda, she is an e-commerce startup owner, which is not really according to our ICP because we are B2B focused and e-commerce is B2C. And she cares about procurement and she needs someone to help her with that. So I realized that when analyzing our website, actually the tool analyzed our whole portfolio. And back in the past, we also offered market research and product sourcing as a service. So that's why I got these two personas based on our website, which makes sense. But at this point, those are not really our target audience. However, I have a good idea with Sarah, the first example, which I can use later on to find my ideal client profile through other tools or maybe even through Clay.
Mhm.
And also there is another result that it gives. So it's the competitive intelligence response. So we have like in more particular, what is the problem the company solves? This is about our company, but I mean, I know exactly what we do, what problems we solve, but because we work with other clients, this also is very beneficial for us because Clay, just with the analysis of the website, can give this information very briefly without the need of you to go through their website and read what they do, what problems they solve, and so on. So it gives the reasoning basically behind the ICP and what the company is doing and how it can help. So yeah, that's Clay. Do you have some questions here?
Yeah, no, I'm starting to realize that usually we were struggling a lot with, I mean, we had business analysts in-house to start doing these researches and data and everything. And now we're kind of going to the other extreme. There's too much information now that we need to digest and figure out
Yeah.
what is good. Because in the previous automation tool that you shared, it was industry focused. And here there are even avatars that is going a step deeper. Well, this is your persona that you actually should start talking to. How accurate this is, of course, based on what input you're going to provide to the automation. If you provide better description, a better website, and other stuff. But I love that you actually are testing it on BSB so you can immediately see the value. And I'm sure that, I mean, we talked before this conversation that you've tested more than 30 different automation tools and AI tools for the ICP. So the ones that you're currently representing are really something that gave reasonable enough data that are shortlisted. And on top of that, some tool will be useful for some company, another tool will be useful for different company, and everybody needs to test what works best for them.
Exactly. Yes, yes. As I said before, these were really easy to use. They had pretty simple user interface and have free trials or options to use them for free. So that's why I focused on them, so everybody can actually utilize them, even if they don't have a budget, or it, even if it's a pretty, if they think the process is pretty complicated, this makes it much easier. So the next two are actually more focused on the buyer persona, and they give, as you said, like avatars. So you can not just like see who your ICP is, but visualize it and make it easier for you to understand. So Lemlist basically is more towards automation of
Cool
the
outreach.
outreach activities, yes, but they also have a free, actually they had a pretty good free tools that you can use, not only for the ICP research. Maybe we can take a look at some of those in the next webinars, but they had a really good like free tools that they're offering on their website. And one of them was this one. Works in similar way. I give just the website, and they give me a pretty good explanation of what BSB is doing and what is our focus. So I didn't write this, I just provided the website, and then I can choose between if I sell to companies or if I sell to individuals. So I, of course, will pick the first one, and let's see what comes out. It takes some
We'll
time
send you an email.
sometimes.
Okay, but
No, it will be presented here, but it takes some time to process.
I see. I see. But I know Lemlist because I mean it's a cold outreach tool.
Yeah.
So that means that some of the automation tools are now even adding the ICP because they also realize that if you want to have a more successful cold outreach campaign, you actually need to have a better ICP rather than put everything in a bulk and start doing cold outreach.
Yeah, exactly. It was the same with Clay. Like they had a separate section where they talk about what is ICP, how important it is, why is it important, and how you can use their tool to help with that. Okay, so yeah, I get my
Ooh,
three
nice.
suggestions. So I have Jordan, sales manager in a software industry, 50 to 200, B2B, 35 years. Brief description. These are his goals. This is how he wants to be reached out to, through which channels, what are the
Nice.
risks. So it's really nice. It's also it visualizes the ICP, not just giving the raw text. I have Emily also, senior business development manager. She is in consulting industry, so this is a hit again. 200 to 500, 42 years, B2B oriented, and more details about her behavior. And I have Michael, Chief Operating Officer in healthcare. So here again, the website messed up the things a little bit, because unless it's a healthcare company that provides B2B software or something B2B oriented, it's not really our target. But yeah, it is a good starting point, and I can pick, let's say, Emily. And if I go to download this persona, I can even receive this in a PDF, or actually in a picture format,
Sure.
and save it on my computer. So whenever I need this information, I can just remind myself of who the ICP is.
Nice, but
So yeah,
obviously Lemlist did a more effort on the visualization because you can see it with subtitles. But again, B2B consulting 200 to 500, putting a name with what positions are a good target audience for you, making it really useful. What I think it would be useful if there was just an edit button that you can tweak some stuff before you download it, so then you can share it with the rest of the sales team.
Yeah, but unfortunately there is no. However, it's really useful as a starting point.
Mhm.
And the last one, similar to before, I added the same description as for the others, and it gives me these three suggestions again. So similarly, it gives like buyer personas, which you can pick all of them or select one that you find the most appropriate for your service. So I have growth guru, 35 years, male, urban, professional, marketing manager. We have some personal characteristics. Then another female, 42. She's sales director. And the last one is 28, entrepreneur, small business owner. So basically, besides the first one, which is the marketing manager, the rest are a good fit. And I think that because we're using the keyword lead generation a lot in our website and in my description as well, that's why some of the tools give me the marketing manager as a targeting option. It's not that it's like completely excluded from our target audience, because sales and marketing are sometimes related, but marketing managers are, let's say, lower in our priority when it comes to the target. It's more salespeople we want to go after. So I will select this one, and I can pick like how I
Oh,
want
jeez.
my
But you
avatar
can
to
even
look like.
upload your like, previous client, so it would remind
Yeah,
you.
yeah, you can even upload, but let's select this one, let's say, and we go next. Yeah, I can pick here whether this user will be a buyer of the solution, a user, or an
Mhm.
influencer, buyer and user, user and influencer, or maybe if I don't know, just click not applicable. So I went with the sales director, and I think that it can be a user and influencer in our case, because they can use our solution and they can influence the decision of the executives on the higher level to buy our solution, depending, of course, on the size of the company. So it can be different variations, but I think maybe this
Yeah.
is a logical one. Let's go with this. I won't enter here anything and I'll submit it. So again, it takes a few seconds to
Of
gather
course.
the
Oh,
data.
but it actually does a lot in background in order to give you something that is useful.
Exactly, yes.
And I'm curious, these are all based on ChatGPT, or they have their own automations, or they don't disclose how they're doing
Um, I'm not sure. Some of them, yes, because I saw the logo and it was written that they use the ChatGPT prompts. But
it.
yeah, maybe I can go deeper into that to figure it out, because it's interesting to know. So yeah, I have my avatar now with really like detailed characteristics and things that can help me through my outreach campaign. There was even one part, if I go here, yeah, it helps with the messaging part. So what can be the tone of the language that you will be using? Do they use FOMO, or do they get hooked on FOMOs? So do they
Hmm.
want to use emojis in your outreach? What's the grammar? How is it important? So it can really go deeper on multiple levels, like how you can create your sequences,
Wow.
the branding, empathy map. So this is, yeah, really helpful for the SDRs to actually, when they start going after these people, to have like some background what might trigger them, and what is the best approach to reach out to them. And there are more tabs even here, like yeah, her shopping motivations, search style, search process, socials, how many accounts, and yeah, how open are they to interactions. Like yeah, she wants to be followed, liked, commented, and shared. Personality keywords, and yeah, this is not ready yet, the chatbot.
Yeah, I wanted to
uh,
ask about the chatbot, so you should be able to talk with your avatar to ask him more personalized question, but that's not yet available, right?
yeah, that's in beta. So
No, but wait, what would you
oh
like to
yeah,
talk about? Okay.
yeah, but
Nice.
it's not real time yet. So that's how it looks like. And I think there was, yeah, an option to download it as a PDF,
Mhm.
so you can have all of this information in a document and share it with your team or use it for internal purposes.
Even for clients, if you're building ideal client persona, you can come here, you can sort it out and just send it as a very well organized PDF.
Yeah, exactly.
This looks like someone spent a week on building it.
Exactly. Very good designs, well defined with the picture, visualization, characteristics, and everything else. So yeah, those are the tools that I wanted to share. I believe it will be beneficial. As I said, not all of them like were 100% accurate, but that was the point, to use them as a starting point, as a guide. And then, of course, when identifying the ICP research, we need to think a little bit strategically and critically to it. And because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, there are some answers that only you know, as business owner or for your company. So you can make the decision whether this persona is better for you than the other. I can share some examples for, I don't know, let's say we had a lot of clients for which through the ICP research, we identified that healthcare is like an ideal industry for them to target. But when talking with them, they actually shared that even though they had some clients in the healthcare segment and their solution can really help them, they really don't want to pursue them because the whole decision making process is really long. The healthcare companies are really regulated. A lot of people are involved when making the decision. It can last for months. So they would really not stick to them, but focus rather on the ones which are much easier wins than going after someone who will take years to buy their solution. So it's again critically thinking and based on your experience to make the decision like what of these suggestions might be a best fit for you. Or I don't know, even in our case, when because we work with a lot of companies, when we identify the research, we know like which industries may work better on LinkedIn if you use that as an outreach channel.
Mhm.
So why go after someone who is really, when you are really not going to get the results on LinkedIn that you want, and you can use a different approach for them, well, focusing more on the ones that can be a better fit there.
Got it. Got it. I think that these tools, and of course, these are not the finite number of tools. Every day, new automation tools are being invented and added to the mix. And as much as we are saying, it's always a new tool around the corner that is coming in. But I think that the purpose was to show that a lot of work, like weeks, can be summarized through the AI in like 5-10 minutes. And then, of course, you have to have some reserve. It's AI. Not everything it says it's correct. But then I think that if there is a way to automate like 60, 70, 80% of the process, then as you are going through too much data, you can digest and decide what's relevant, what's not relevant.
Yeah, and I believe you worked a little bit on this to narrow it down and make more precise prompts that can actually
Mhm.
guide towards a more specific ICP. So can you share that with us?
Ah, let me share my screen. Uh, can you see my screen now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so my main concern with this automation tool was that I want it fully personalized. I mean, as a tool, it has this is the input, this is the output. And I'm still a fanatic of ChatGPT. And if you play it right, it can give you some crazy level of insights and data that there's no way you could even think about it and not to research it. And that's why I wanted to cover the next topic in regards to, well, how ChatGPT can actually help us as a generative AI into finding the ideal client profile. So the focus on the prompts, I mean, I found some really simple prompts like help identify the ideal client profile for industry looking for solution. Which industries are currently investing heavily in tech product and what are their key pain points? What are the top 5 decision maker roles in companies that need these services? I mean, you don't need a webinar for this. This you can just go chat GPT and like help, I need my ICP, and that's it. However, I've realized these are most of us are doing it like this, and that's why I wanted to spend some time a bit more on the prompting. Now we're talking specifically for ChatGPT and how you can get the ICP right. And I've noticed 4 very big important things. First is we're still chipped to think like we're writing in a piece of paper. It needs to be short, it needs to be summarized. And I'm like, no, ChatGPT is the other way around. You need to be as detailed as possible. What's the point in summarizing? You need to be like, I want this, this is how I want to be, this is the outcome I want to be, this is the format I want to receive it. So then ChatGPT would be able to serve you better. The second part, it's never a definite prompt. I mean, I have this now prompt that I'm going to share as a templatized document that can be used, but I've never found myself like, okay, I put the prompt, I take the text and that's it. Because sometimes I read the answer and I'm like, interesting, there is that angle that I was not aware. Can you tell me more about that? So it is a back and forward. It's a constant response-based tweaking based on the response that you're going to get until you're happy with it in order to continue to the next stage. The third is, my trick, is that you actually get to help from ChatGPT. It's like, ChatGPT, I need you to tell me how I can create a prompt for you so I can actually get this. And ChatGPT can do it 10 times better than me. When it comes to prompting, and this is not just for the ICP, many times I'm like, ChatGPT, I want to do a business plan about this, or I'm considering this kind of investment. Ask me 5 or 10 questions that you need to know before you can start helping me. And then he asked some tough questions that I'm not ready about. And I was like, wow, if I was writing this prompt, I would never even thought about these angles. Well, that's why we have ChatGPT. So consider using help from ChatGPT in writing its own prompt. And the last part that I wanted to share is that don't try to put everything into a single prompt. It's like, ChatGPT, give me the whole ICP. Where are you going to cover the internal, the external, the ICP firmographics with the ideal positions, with the conversation starters? Well, what kind of depth do you expect then? Because he's going to just give you a lot of data and he's going to cut at some point. So what I usually do is I'm actually creating a series of prompts. I'm like, ChatGPT, let's start with the internal part. Tell me this, and back and forward until I'm happy. And I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to go to the second part of the prompt, which is tell me about the external part of the company. And then we can go back and forward until I'm happy. And only then we can continue toward the ICP. So as you can see, I'm driving it as a conversation rather than here is a prompt, tell me everything that you can. And for this webinar, I actually took one example on how we use ChatGPT, and I was actually so surprised to show you what kind of ICP we managed to prepare just by a few prompts and how we actually structure the prompts. I think it's beyond amazing. So
let's take a look.
So master prompt plus part one, the internal. I was using the SweetLeads ICP framework because, I mean, it's written in a book. It's very strong. We use it at BSB, so I wanted that one. I'm gonna now get out from sharing screen so I can actually zoom in a bit. It would be more visible. So in the, not part three, not part two, part one, what I did in the prompting is, I'll zoom a lot now, is that master prompt. So I need you, and just to give you some background, we were doing this for App Inventive, which is a technology consulting company, but I have that in the prompt as well. So I need your help in defining an ICP for a B2B company using the SweetLeads ICP framework. So I'm telling, I don't want any structure. I want you to follow this structure. The company in question is App Inventive, a technology consulting and development firm specializing in custom software development. They are expanding into the Australian private sector, aiming to avoid the government and secure quick wins on the market. So this paragraph can be tweaked to any company. It's like, the company is BSB, they're 10 years on the market, they do B2B appointment setting. The company is a digital marketing agency from Switzerland doing this, and this. But from there onwards, the majority should be more structured, because based on that, as Natasha was saying, this is the paragraph about the company, I started guiding the ChatGPT. So to ensure a deeper and structured analysis, I want to break it into 4+1 distinct stages and have back and forth conversations before moving to the next step. I don't want a large conversation, a tweak, and then a large conversation. I want structured step-by-step conversation. You should keep track of all prior insights and reference them as we go. However, very important, do not assume answers for later stages until we explicitly discuss them. I don't want him to tell me something in stage 1 and then assume it and continue in stage 2. He needs to verify it. So this is it. This is my master prompt. And now that he knows that I'm going to use the SweetLeads ICP framework, I can go into step 1, which was the internal forces. So I want a detailed internal analysis. I mean, it took us some weeks of trial and denial to get to this prompting, because many times ChatGPT was coming back, well, if you want the ICP, you should do this, you should research this, you should research this. And I'm like, I came here for you to do it, not to tell me how I should do it. So we did some playing around with ChatGPT, but I want a detailed internal analysis. Use the web sources, like check out their website, check out Clutch, check out LinkedIn, check out Good Forms. You should do this better than me. I mean, you're a research guy. Your response should include, so these are the topics I want you to cover. What are their core strengths and differentiators? So what is unique? What are their biggest trends? Are there any awards that I should be aware of? What else do we have? Industries served successfully. So before that, it just summarized, they work in this and this industry. I'm like, no, 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 no. I want the data. And this is maybe what I was missing in the automation tools, is that whenever you ask an automation tools, it just give you this, this, this. This is the client persona and this. For me, it was more interested to show me the process, how that it got to that conclusion rather than just the conclusion. And I think that as a business analyst and as a strategist, I want to know the reasoning behind something as a recommendation rather than, don't you don't need to know ICP1, ICP2, ICP3. Don't ask me how I know it. Trust me. So in this case, I'm like, no, 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 no. I want you to break me what clients and do not summarize it to me, because list me 5 to 10 clients that has already worked with and find it yourself. I'm not going to tell you. Go on their website. Or similar example, if exact names are not available. And for each company, I'm working on the outcome. I want this, 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 and this. And then I want you to tell me what are their most valuable services based on the client demand, provide real world example or case studies if they're available, what technologies were they on, do they have any case studies? I mean, it will take me weeks just for the internal research of a company. Tell me some project that they did, show before and after, or includes feedbacks or anything. So as you can see, it still goes. It's a one prompt. All this is just one prompt, but as detailed. Hypothetical ICP based on internal analysis. Now, based on this, I'm not going to wait until the end to tell me, but based on the internal, provide a hypothesis. We believe that these are the target audience, that then we can confirm it or deny it in the external part and then finalize it. So 3 to 5 for each. Tell me why it's an industry fit. I don't just need the end goal. These are the ICPs, but tell me why it's an industry fit. What are the firmographics? What are the decision makers? What are the buying triggers? And these internal ICPs will be tested. And finally, I mean, you see how big a prompt this became. It was very small. It's like ChatGPT tell me my ICP, but every time they made a mistake, we had to fix it in the prompt so we make sure that we get a constant positive result. So ensure your response is structured as follows: core, industry. So this should be bullet points. This should be table. This should be technology. This should be key points. Potential 3 to 5. Do not provide just a summary again. I need a data-backed example-driven responses, and then we can discuss about marketing competitors. Sounds
So
crazy,
basically,
right?
you tell him exactly what details you need, how it should be visualized, and all the extents it needs to, or directions it needs to go to.
Yes, I'm actually leaving very little space for assumptions, because if I go to the previous, it's like help identify the ICP for this industry looking for this. So ChatGPT needs to fill in the blanks. Here, he still has some blanks to fill in, but I'm really expressive and descriptive in telling them what I really want and what I really need. So I have actually the ChatGPT and what it did based on this conversation. If I can just find it, here is it. So a brand new clean chat. I'm like, no history before. And I put this, just copy paste it. And as you can see, I'm just going to go back again. This can be easily changed to any company. I mean, yeah, I need to tweak this paragraph at the beginning, and there you go. I can do it for any company now. So if I just put Bisbee here, I can get all this for Bisbee. So I just copy paste it. I'm interested more in the response that we get. Certainly, let's do it. First, core strengths and differentiation, diverse industry expertise. And I'm like, if this was it, why? So it tells me they did a lot more than 3,000 solutions across 35 industries. Here is the source down. So even if I don't trust him, I can look it up. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. And for us, just to, sorry to interrupt,
yeah,
but
yeah,
for us, this process of identifying sources to support our research, that is really time consuming, because not just you need the sources, but you also need to make sure they're from reliable
credible
websites.
sources.
They are up to date, they're not too old. So yeah, this is good.
So I can easily look it up. Is it correct? Is it lying? How old is the data also? So robust team, they have like 1600 text professional. Here is the source. So commitment to quality, here is the source. Recognition and award. Okay, so Deloitte Tech Fast 50 Award for 2023 and 2024, which is perfect. Named App for the Year by Entrepreneur.com. I can find the source. Recipient of the Clutch Global. You can do this on your own, but this takes time. A lot of time in order to congregate the data that will help you better understand the company. Now, industries. How many times he just gave me go to retail, quick service, restaurant, and sportswear? And I was not happy because I want to see companies. Ah, so they work with IKEA. Okay, so they are in the corporate world. Is retail with 200,000 employees with 40 billions. And what project did they did with IKEA? And why is a great fit? I mean, tell me, what's the thing? And KFC, okay, so they also worked in the restaurants with 100, 800, so 27 billion. So just me looking at this, okay, so they're more into the corporate 200, 800, Adidas, Domino's, Job Get. So I can easily understand. And I have again the sources. Where did he got this? So for me, this is a map of information, but structured in a way that I like it. Because for me, now I can double check it and like, okay, so if they worked with IKEA, we can target retail. If they worked with KFC, we can target the quick service restaurant. And then we can use KFC as a case study and have more specific messages. And I mean, these are really big brands. So most valuable services. What? Mobile app development. So that's what they're really strong at. Example, developed a mobile app for KFC with a 20% higher conversion. I was gonna eventually find this on their website, but it's gonna take me a while. And if I'm pitching the mobile app development, I know what to say and I have a case study at hand. The ERP development, they did it for IKEA. AI solution, they did it for Mudra, intelligent chatbot to automate. Blockchain, they have this, and this. Here are the case studies. The project for IKEA, what was the impact, what they get? The KFC, the job get, potential ICPs. So as you can see, we're still in the internal part, and I've learned so much about the company. So
Yeah, and
ICP.
this is the difference between the tools and this, because in my case, it was just the summary. And then if I wasn't part of BizBay, I wouldn't find the logic why some of those were actually suggested. But here you
Mhm.
have this solution was targeted for these companies and so on. So
Exactly, exactly.
yeah.
And it started even potential ICPs, and it kind of run out of text. And I was like, continue, just just continue. And that's why I'm saying it can be back and forward. And if I'm not happy, I can be like, what do you mean with IKEA? Can you tell me a bit more? And we are not touching the external until I'm personally satisfied with the information that I know about the company, so we can go to the next stage. So here are the target audiences now. ICP1, large retails. What is the industry? What are the firmographics? Above 10 million, 10,000 employees with 1 billion. Who are the people? CTO, CIO, head of digital. There are others. I want to focus on these three because I use them later. CTO, buying triggers. What are the buying triggers? What kind of needs they are? The why. And this is no tools. I still find it. Why do you think that this ICP is good for Up Inventive? And then it's because they worked with this, and in the enterprise thing and that. ICP number 2. I'm going to start skipping them, but
Yeah,
quick service restaurants. In these companies, you have different target audiences, CIO, VP, and head of customers. So
yeah,
this is also in the tools when we were like, they're summarizing, these are the roles, these are the industries. And I'm like, no, 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 no. In each of these industries, we need different type of roles that we need to target. Again, buying
exactly.
target, ICP, fintech, and digital, different buying triggers, different decision makers, HR and recruitment tech companies, and why, for example, for why at each of them, AI and blockchain powers, and what are the firmographics, and they even got it something, and what are the triggers and the why, and that's it. So all of this data I got with a simple prompt. It's not a simple prompt, let's be honest.
It took
However,
time to build it, but yeah, the result is simple at the end.
yes, however, I can tweak now Up Inventive with any company. I can tweak this for our competitors. I'm like, tell me, what are our competitors? What kind of case studies they have? What are they doing? And all this data, I can get it with a single click. It's a lot of data. It gives me a really nice foundation for the ICP from Sweetlist that we were discussing. So now that I'm happy with this, we're like, where is the presentation? We're like, I'm happy with this. Now let's go to part 2, the external analysis. And the prompt is, now that we have completed the internal, I want to move external forces marketing. The goal is to validate or refine the ICP by analyzing. So we already have a hypothesis. Now let's see the market. Market demands. Which industries in Australia have the highest demand? Competitive landscape. Who are we competing against? Are there any marketing gaps that we should be aware of? Are there any challenges or barriers? So these are really deep questions. Use sources. I mean, come on, do your research. Go fintech, health tech, retail, look at competitors from LinkedIn, Goldform, G2, Clutch, Market Trend, take McKinsey, take Gartner, take Forrester. So I'm trying credible sources, insights from CIO, TechCrunch, SDNet. So it's really, and I'm still controlling the format. This is the format that I want. Industry demand, list high growth industries, competitor analysis. I want a table, market gap. I should have put it bulletins here. And barrier, what are the typical? Do not assume that the ICP from part 1 is correct. I had this issue. He said, well, if you didn't complain, it's true. I'm like, no. No assumption here. Instead, cross-check it with the actual market data in order to approve or deny. And after then, we're going to start with the combination of the internal external. So this was
because this is really important, because not if the client work with some companies, it doesn't mean that that's like the only exclusive ICP, and another type of companies might be even more interested for their solution. So it's really important not to like combine them both, but to be completely exclusive research.
Yep. And here is why I think that it does require a lot of work, but at the end of the day, we build it. As you can see, it's completely generic now because I can continue the conversation with any of the previous ones, and it's going to continue. It's going to continue like, okay, if it was for BSB or if it was for any of the other companies, it's just going to continue adding more information. So going back to the prompt, because I actually put it to test. Now that we have, let's go to step 2, absolutely exactly the same. Here is what we get. Certainly, let's go step 2, industry. So it actually cross-checked the industry that I needed. So Australian customer software development is a projection from 77 million to 3.5 billion. Here is the source, Grant View Research. The software in Australia expected to grow at 7.16% from. This is industry arc. The application development in Australia is projected from Statista, from Ibis World. Software publishing industry, this takes time even in the academic world to research. And I don't need all of them, but I could really see how the industry is progressing. Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Okay, the custom software development, I'm going to stop, but I have the sources. So it is showing me the thought process and the data, how he decided this, rather than it's a good industry. That's it.
Yeah.
Competitors. Tell me what are the competitors, and he's like, well, this company is this and Simfront, and where they're located, and what kind of focus are they doing. Do you know how much time it's going to take me just to get this, what kind of focus in percentages to do it? I mean, ages. How big they are, what are their strengths. So it's a complete competitor analysis. What are the market gaps? Well, there is industry specialization gap. There is an advanced technologies and there are client-centric approach. I'm not going to read through the whole text, but I did have a different point here that I wanted to share. Barriers to entering common challenges. Okay, so what are the barriers? Data security. So if we're entering the Austrian market, we should be aware about the compliance. Or cultural and time zone difference, or quality assurance and cost versus value. And I was like, okay, after reading this, I have a pretty good idea about the industry and the market. However, can you tell me a bit more about the gaps and the opportunities for App Inventive? As you see, it's not, this is the prompt, I paste it, I just take what I got. But while reading this, it felt like I need more information here. It's not enough.
Yeah.
So, of course, ChatGPT, now that you've asked, I'll tell you everything. So, industry-specific, lack of deep vertical expertise, market gap, many competitors offer broad generic software development. While firms like Tafka, Sirfa provide mobile and web, they lack the laser focus. What is the opportunity for me? Position as an industry expert. What if you can leverage the IKEA KFC? This is you can be vertical, such as these are the verticals. You can create tailored marketing materials around it, even have an example strategy. The AI advantage in QSR. Or for the second target audience, this is the market gap. This is the opportunities. This is the strategy that you can do. Or the large scale digital transformation for enterprise. This is the gap. These are the opportunities for App Inventive. And this is the strategy. Legacy to AI, a guide, an ebook targeting CTOs. So it's even telling me like you can create content, you can create ebooks in order to get to this target audience. Or nearshore market, again, the gap, the opportunity, and the exact, and okay, there were quite a lot. Lack of strong thoughts leadership, and what is the gap, and what is the opportunity, and what is the monthly strategy. Summarizing it, here is it. So as you can see, I don't have this in the prompt template. Where was it? Tell me more about this section. But that's why in the presentation I said it's never a single prompt. You can go back and forward until you're happy with that stage before you can actually move it into the third stage. And now I think that once we covered the two, I'm ready to actually discuss about what is the target audience more specifically. So let's see what we're asking now. Now that we have completed the internal and external, now let's define the industry specifics. With a full breakdown, I want identify 3 to 5 industry specifics instead of a one, because I don't want to tell me this is the target audience. I want to have 3 to 5, and then I can choose one, or I can continue with 2, 3 target audiences in parallel. Each one is structured in bullet point format. It gave me so many tables that I needed this. Justify the selection of each ICP. So, well, now you know the internal, now you know the external. Convince me that this is a really good target audience. Define firmographics, how big revenue structure for each of the verticals, decision makers for each of the verticals. So it's no longer, well, these are the 5 roles, but in this vertical, these are the roles. In that vertical, that's the role. Map out the buying triggers and ensure ICP specificity to actually improve targeting and sales precision. We're doing this for sales. That's the point here. And the bigger part is I'm just going to go through it. This is my format. I want you to look at the 3 to 5 for each. This is what I want. Industry specific, full justification, what vertical justification, company size justification, company technology maturity, justification of technology, market readiness justification, key decision makers, title, justification, responsibilities, influence, buying trigger, trigger justification. Do not provide a table. I was so tired of tables. Format each ICP as a structured bullet point and provide justification instead of summarized insights. And the refined instead the ICP are validated and actionable for sales outreach. I know it feels like a lot, but if you see, I can just copy paste this and change App Inventive to BSB or whatever company I need to research. The more interesting part is, yes, we can figure out the prompt. What are the results? So I just pasted this. Industry specific ideal client profiles. Now that we have completed both each ICP. ICP number 1, large retail and e-commerce enterprise. What is the vertical? Retail. What does it include? What does it cover? How it justifies it? Well, it's already IKEA, Adidas, retail is the fastest growing, Australian leader, they lag behind the EU and the US, so there is justification why it's a good fit. Tell me about the size. Well, above 500, above 500,000. Why? Because the larger have a more complex supply chain. What's the technology maturity? High digital adaptation. Many still rely on legacy POS and ERP. What is the market readiness? And there is an even report like 42% of Australian retailers plan to increase AI investment within 12 months. So I believe him now. It's like, really, that's a good target audience for this company, because based on this, I can read it. And if I'm not clear, I can ask. But now that he convinced me, these are the key decisions. CTO, head of digital, CIO. So this is what I should know. Buying triggers, merging online and offline retail experience, or scaling or competitor pressure. So these are the triggers. Target audience number 2, the restaurants. Industry vertical, quick service restaurants. Justification, it gives me the same. Show me the size. Why? What is the technology maturity? What is the market readiness? In this service restaurant, what are the positions? VP, CMO, CTO, the buying triggers. And now I'm going to speed up because it's for target audience number 3. What is the justification? What are decision makers? What are the triggers? So finally summarizing the 3 is this. And I was like, thank you very much. You just saved me a week or 2 of back and forward and a lot of work, but we're not finished. Now you gave me a lot of good target audience with the right people, with the right triggers. Now we actually need to do the last step. And the last step is let's figure out the conversation starters, because as a sales, we need to figure out how to reach out to these people. So the prompt is, now that we have finalized the ICP, let's define their key pain points and craft high-level discussion topics. Objectives: identify the top 2 pain points for each ICP, then provide 2 key solutions, and this is not just per industry, but it's per role. So provide 2 key solutions that App Inventive can solve those pain points, 2 discussion topics that we can start talking either for email, for sales call, or social media content, and structure the output by role so each decision maker has their full insight grouped together. Because before that, it was like CTO, pain point, CTO has this, then value proposition, this role has this, so it was worse structured, and by this, I can see it on a single role, and ensure the output is structured in bullet points. Response format required, I had to map it out to ChatGPT so it wouldn't make any mistakes, but it's like for each ICP, I want this organized by role, industry vertical, relevant job ads for each role. Role 1, pain point 1, pain point 2, solution 1, solution 2, discussion 1, discussion 2, then continue. Role 2, pain point 1, 2, solution, discussion, role 3. So I don't leave any gap for ChatGPT because he'll find a way how to make a mess of the research. So, but again,
it's really good because each industry has different issues, and then the roles within those industries or companies have different pain points. So it really makes a lot of sense.
Yes, and here where the automation tool was doing a great job, but when I asked him, give me on 5 different industries, each one of them have 3 different job roles that we need to target, and each of them had different pain points, it gets a bit more complicated. And as you can see, I can just copy paste this prompt and use it for any company. I mean,
Nice.
It is a universal. Let's see what we got, because this is the final prompt that I had. So now that we have, this is the objective, do this, do this, do this. Industry specific. For the large retail e-commerce, the relevant job ads for CTO, CIO, and head of digital. Let's take the CTO. His main pain point is legacy system integration. Because of this, and this create data silos. The other pain point is the AI implementation challenges. Because of this, and this. What App Inventive solution is the seamless integration of AI and legacy solutions. So it's a perfect, this is what your point, this is how my company can actually help you. Or the second solution, and then I even have a discussion topic. The biggest challenge in integrating AI into legacy retail, how are leaders solving it? It can be a blog, it could be a webinar, it can be an email, or it could be a conversation starter. Or discussion AI-driven personalization, how top retail brands are boosting conversation with smart custom insights. Now, as you can see, in the large retail, that's the headaches of the CTO. However, in the same ICP, well, the chief information officer had different pain points. Scalability, omni-channel consistency, those are his problem. And then we can actually offer different solutions to that role with, of course, different topics. And if we look at that, I think we covered just 2 roles, because when it got to 3, it got too complicated, so we don't have for the digital. But now I can say, I love point 1, can you add it also for omni-channel? But in this example, we took the CTO and the chief information officer. And then for the quick service restaurant, we had the VP of digital, CMO, and CTO. So on the VP of digital, well, they have different pain points, low mobile app engagement and conversion rates, which is a real concern, but specifically for the VP, the CEO doesn't care. Or AI-powered personalization and dynamic pricing. And this is the solution that you can offer. And this is with the examples. And then this is the discussion topic that you can raise. And with the chief marketing officer, you have a different problem, customer loyalty and ineffective data-driven marketing. And there are different solutions. I'm going to speed up because the structure is the same and different discussion topic. And then in the fintech, we have like chief product officer, which is one. And then we have different pain points and different topics, and chief risks officer, which is completely different pain points, but customization is key here. So for each of the ICP, we identify two different roles and we try to identify their specific pain points that they are having and how we can address those. I
Yeah,
think
makes a
that
lot
was
of
the
sense.
example.
And yeah, you should share the prompt with all of us.
But as you can see, it's not like from 10 different prompts. It's a one conversation with ChatGPT. It's like, you know what? This is what we're going to do. Let's start with the first one. Okay, this is everything you need to know. Please continue. It tells me everything. And then I'm like, I'm happy with this. Let's continue with the external. And it's telling me a lot. I'm like, can you elaborate on this? And it's telling me further a lot. And then I'm like, okay, I'm happy with that. Can you tell me now about the ICP summarized? And it's giving me a lot of data. And I'm like, I'm happy with that, but now I need you to tell me some more about the conversation starters that I can use with the pain points and everything. So I got that too as well. So back to the presentation where I can go back to the screen. The point of this was to see the difference in when you utilize fully customized AI. And this, it can be ChatGPT, it can be any other generative AI, because when you have the prompts, I can put it on an AI agent and saying, yo, AI agent, these are the steps I want you to follow. This is the data that I want you to collect. This is how I want you to help me. And as you can see, instead of one huge prompt, it was like, tell me about company strengths as much as you can, part one. Tell me about the external part with the competition and everything. Tell me now about the ICP, what are there, who are they with the positions and firmographics and industries. And then we ended up like, now tell me a bit more about the conversation. And it was a painful process of building the prompts. But on the other hand, you're building it once, of course, we maintain it. Every time GPT finds a different way how to mess up the prompt, and every time we need to further update it in order to make sure that we get consistent results. And we have these prompts templatized, so if anyone is interested, we can just reach out to Bisbee. We can easily share it because it's prompts. Yes, you can just paste it, but if you don't know how to use it, I mean, it will help you, but you need to
Yeah,
know
but
how
it's
to get the data.
adjustable to everyone, so you can add or exclude some things. So yeah,
Yes, keep tweaking it. And the reason why I said this at the beginning, so to close, so be as detailed as possible. There's no point in summarizing. Now you understand what I meant. And it's a never a definitive prompt because it requires a constant response. And you can get ChatGPT because, as you can see, I would never thought of all that fine details in the prompt. And don't try to do everything in a single prompt because a series of prompts gives you control over the structure.
okay.
That's what I had with the Chat GPT. I think Nacha now was your continuation, where what happens when you start getting at the end of the ICP and what you can expect.
Yeah, exactly. So when you know the ICP, you need to find those people somewhere. You need to quantify it and see what kind of target audience we're talking about, what size of target audience, how many people are available, and how you can adjust your ICP based on that. So I have a few examples here of different ICPs and how it reflects on Sales Navigator. And before I go into that, just to mention that always our main source or primary source when it comes to finding the prospects is LinkedIn Sales Navigator, because it's really a good, the best maybe B2B self-updating database where people they update their job positions, and every promotion they have, company they change directly there. So you always have a real time data. Of course, there are exceptions, but generally it serves as a really good tool to find the prospects. And you can see what is the size of your target audience and adjust everything accordingly. So I have three examples actually, and how you can narrow it down.
Should you share your screen, Natasha?
Yeah,
So
yeah, I will share my screen and we can go into the examples. Okay, I still have the personas here, so I don't need that anymore. We can go to the Sales Navigator filters. So in the first case, we have like, let's say majority of our clients usually are targeting SaaS companies that are startups, United States,
Mhm.
so really like very common target. And if you put it like this, I mean, it's logical. Startups would be from 1 to 10 employees, United States, and software development industry is the one that is closest to finding the SaaS companies. We have 95,000 results on Sales Navigator. So this is really a lot, and the process of starting to check each company will take like a lot of time. So you need to narrow it down a bit to make the target audience really more focused and easier for you to find the right people or the lowest hanging fruit for you. So thinking about actually, let me give another perspective before I go into this. So on LinkedIn, we can take a look at two levels on the
Mhm.
filters. One is on the account side and the other one is on the lead side. So when it comes to the account or the company side, basically you can transfer all of the firmographics like company headcount, location, the industry, and so on. And there are some more advanced filters that you can also use. When it comes to the leads, you identify there again the leads location, the industry they're in, the role that they have, and so on. So we'll go to another example on the lead side later on, but first let's go back to this one. The other, let's say, downside of Sales Navigator is that you are working with the predefined options. So,
Yeah.
for example, in company headcounts, they're already predefined. You can pick between the ranges, and also in the industries. So there are plenty of industries, but it's really software development. It's, let's say, a generic industry in which a lot of different companies can fit in. And this will include SaaS, but also companies that are not really software as a service, like just software developers in general. So this target audience is really wide, and it doesn't serve like the purpose that we have to go after startups in USA, which are SaaS providers. So one way to narrow down this is first step, you can use some keywords that will actually narrow down the company search results. Usually when we use keywords, we use some Boolean searches. They are like looking like this, where you add keywords and you extend or expanding the
Bullet.
search, or yeah, or shortening up by using some inclusion or exclusion keywords like or, and, or not. So in our case, these are the main keywords that we use when it comes to identifying SaaS companies on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So it's apps, software, SaaS, or app, or platform. All of these indicate that it's most probably a SaaS rather than just a basic software development. So if I click this into the search here, this narrows down from 95,000 to 33,000 companies, which really it's like a 1/3 of the total results that I get at the beginning. But still, this is a lot. And what we can do next, so how we can work with these filters to narrow it down to really the lowest hanging fruit that we have. For example, what I would do, I would go back to the ICP research, and maybe I would take a look at in United States, what particular states could be the best fit for my solution and the companies that I want to target. So this means that once you identify the target audience, that's why we go to LinkedIn to see how big the size is, and then going back, even if needed, to the ICP research to re-identify it or to narrow it down to make it more specific. So if we do a research, let's say, most probably we will come up with the result that California is one of the
Mhm.
places where in USA we have the most SaaS startups. So I'll pick that just for the example and exclude United States. So from 33,000, I narrow it down to 7.5 thousand results. So this really helped me from 95,000 in total to narrow it down to 7.5, but also to make sure that these companies are more relevant to what I'm looking for. On top of this, so going more steps further and outside, let's say, of just the regular search, if we know that a startup is usually a company that is founded in the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, there is also in the company information on LinkedIn, you can see when the company was founded. So if you start checking this, you can actually figure out that part and keep qualifying your companies to go to the ideal client profile. Additionally, maybe if you go to the ICP research, you can figure out what is the revenue in which these companies need to be within, so it will make more sense for you. So let's say we want companies that have between 1 and 10 millions in revenue at least to be relevant for us. So we just narrow it down to 2,000, and then by adding an additional criteria of qualifying these companies on other levels, you can get to the companies that you actually want to talk with and have a stronger message for them. So this is how the process goes, and that's how you need to use the understanding of the numbers on Sales Navigator and narrow it down or expand it. So yeah, this is one example. I can go to another one, which is a completely opposite to this one. So in this case, this is actually a real target from one of our clients, and they were going after companies in the software development industry. So that's basically the industries that came up as the best solution based on the ICP. So software development and financial services, United States, again, small to medium-sized companies. And there was one really important criteria for them. The companies should use AWS as a cloud solution. So this is really a narrow target audience. And as you can see, we have only 15 results on LinkedIn that are fitting this criteria. So compared to the previous example where it was too wide and it was almost 100,000 company search results, here we have only 15. So we need to go back again to the ICP and try to expand this a little bit if possible. One way is to see whether other industries would be a good fit for this target. By the way, the company is providing maintenance and optimization of the AWS infrastructure for the companies that are using it. So there should be also other industries that we can include here or expand this a bit. And we can do that by going back to the ICP research and identify what else can be added. On the other end, what we've done here is we've done a layered approach where we know like what is ideal. So this will be ideal. These are the companies we know that they're AWS users, but we can go like on a second layer which is less ideal, but we were using, so excluding this criteria and checking the companies that will fit into the first criteria, but checking them through other tools outside of Sales Navigator, whether they're AWS users or not. So once we identify them through it, because we know that this target is not really huge, but we need to focus on them, then we are approaching them with a certain kind of messages. And we can go even one layer like more wider than this, where instead of because we for some of the companies we don't know if they use AWS or anything at all, then we can go to the ones that we are not sure what technology they're using, and with a different set of messages approach them to understand first what they're using and then offer our solution. So it was an approach where the ICP was defined into different layers in order of priority, of course, where we know what's narrow, what's the lowest hanging fruit, and we start from there, but then we expand with different options. And the last example, so this is more on the lead side. So let's say this criteria that I added, this fit like this be target audience. So we want small to medium-sized companies in Europe, in the software development industry. So I added additionally here in the personal filters, the geography besides the one for the companies, because sometimes it can happen that the company has a location in a certain area, but then the leads or the contacts might be from a completely different location. And I want to eliminate that and make sure that both the companies and the contacts are from Europe. Yeah, as you can see on the lead side, there are a lot of different filters that you can use. Like these are the basic ones, again, based on the company firmographics, like company headcount, industry size, role, and so on. But we can go into a more into deeper level if we want to narrow it down. So in this case, I have 25,000 results in total, which is plenty again, and I need to narrow it down somehow. And another important part is I can list like all job titles here individually in the filters, like adding CEO, managing director, founder, owner, and so on. So the highest decision makers in the company. But there is another trick that you can use on LinkedIn, and that's the Boolean search, which I used previously also in the companies, but this is a little bit different. So with the
Bit
Boolean
scarier.
search, yeah. The idea is that when LinkedIn gives you the results, there is always room for mistake, and um, there are different algorithms that LinkedIn works and gives results based on those algorithms. So there's always some contacts that will not be a really good fit on what you're looking for. And with this Boolean, you're trying to eliminate that part and exclude everything that you don't want to appear in your search. So in the first part, I added all of the roles that I want to see. So chief executive or CEO or co-CEO or managing director or owner and so on, but not, which means exclude, vice or deputy or assistant or executive assistant, interim, intern, student, secretary, and so on. So I use the Boolean, and as we can see, at least on the first page, I have a pretty decent
Good
results.
leads.
Yeah, of course, this can be adjusted. So if I go and scroll and I see that, I don't know, I have in the search some weird title that I don't want here, I can just add it here into the not criteria. So continue with this by adding or adding the particular title, and again, copying and pasting this into the title search. So
Yes.
if I want to further narrow it down or even make it like, let's say, more precise, I can also add a seniority level as an additional criteria. So yeah, let's see that I want the highest seniority level, so owner and partner, and C-level only. And I will get to 16,000 results. So in my search of more than 20,000, around 4,000 people were in a lower senior position, and I don't want to have them in my search. So I want to focus only on these ones which are on the higher positions. This can also work on different levels. Like if you're targeting a specific department, you can also add the functions. So if you want to target salespeople, then you can go into the sales department, create a Boolean that will be related to that, like sales director or sales manager, not this and that. Pick the seniority level. It can be on a director level or VP level or strategic or whatever. Or even if you're going after a lower position, you can do the other way around. But I still have a lot of results. So there is still way for improvement here. And one way to do this is I maybe can start only with my second degree connections. So on LinkedIn, there is first degree connections. Those are the people that you are connected with. There are second degree connections. So those are people that you have mutual connections with. And the third degree, those are people that you have no any relation with. So I would like to start with this second degree. So these are people that I already have some mutual connections, and then my starting point of getting in touch with them will be easier because I can say even in the invitation message, hey, I've noticed we have a lot of mutual connections, so let's connect, and immediately we have something in common. So it will improve then the campaign results and the numbers that once I start with the campaign. So I get to 7,000 results. But if I still want to further narrow this down and get even better and high quality audience, I can go to and just enable this. So I want to have only the people who posted something on LinkedIn over the last month, which means that
That are
these are
more
the
active.
people that are most active and most probably will see my messages and will react to them because they have posted something, they did some effort in the last month on LinkedIn. So from, I don't know how many thousand that I had at the beginning, I ended up with 2.5 results, which are really highly targeted the people that I want. Of course, with LinkedIn, there will be always, again, some people that won't fit all of my criteria based on their algorithms, but I have at least a good starting point based on these filters that can help me with the company. So yeah, that's like how this helps, and how based on the numbers you can determine whether you need to go back to the ICP research, whether you need to expand, narrow it down, and create your target audience.
Nice. I see that it's a back and forward. Stop sharing your screen. It's a back and forth process, not sure because you define it with ChatGPT with automation, you try it on LinkedIn, it's too big, go back to the drawing board, or further laser focus it, or maybe you define it and you come here and like, but there are only 5 people in the target audience, so let's go back and add more to it in order to have a sustainable number. I think that this was our last point that we wanted to make on this webinar. We did had just some Q&A, and I have to be observant of the time that we've spent so far. But based on the thing, I wanted to just use this opportunity to announce the next webinar, which is webinar number 2 from the Digital Outreach Mastery, is that this was focused really on the ideal client persona using the ChatGPT automation tools, while the second one, which should be probably at the end of February, if I'm correct, which would be focused on the database building. How can we use tools, automation, and AI in order to build databases faster and more accurate, not just scraping data? And I think that there we can focus more on how Sales Navigator is a great starting point and what kind of tools can actually help us from the ICP toward building the database. So having that said, I think that this was the last slide that we had. No, actually I had just one, which was the questions and answers. I do wanted to share that you're free to connect with Natasha. That's her LinkedIn QR code and my LinkedIn code. So happy to connect with anyone. We added like 2 gifts here. So if you want to actually get a free copy of Sweet Leads, the Kindle version, you can just scan these QR codes, and I hope it works because it really looks ugly, but as long as it's functional. So if you want to see the ICP framework that we were covering, you can just grab a copy of the Sweet Leads. Or if you actually need help with the ICP, I mean, we can just schedule a call, we can audit what you have and what's the best way forward. I think this was the last slide, and Natasha, I'm also observant on the time because it's 4:05. I did had 2 questions that I wanted to address. I mean, I saw multiple questions, but 2 kind of were fast and actually spot on. So the first one is how can we actually trust ChatGPT with the data that we're getting? So I assume the ChatGPT was more into my field, and the short answer is no, we cannot trust ChatGPT. And maybe that's why my prompts were much longer, because I believe that rather than trusting ChatGPT, it's actually better to ask for the thought process. I mean, AI, if it tells me this is black, should I trust it? No. What was the data? What were the sources that you used? And what was the thought process that you used in order to get to it? So don't trust ChatGPT. It lied to me many times, interestingly. So I've learned my lesson, but if you ask for the sources, then you can check it for yourself and make a nice judgment about it. And the second question here was that what if the company is brand new and it doesn't have any previous clients to do the internal analysis? Probably this is not just for you. What if the company is a startup? Like we've just started a digital marketing agency and we need help with the ICP. How would you approach that matter?
Yes, so again, then you start with the external search. You see what the competitors are doing, where are the spaces where you can enter, and what makes most sense for you. But also, you then need to test a little bit before you actually get your first clients, get the feedback, and then continue the process from there.
Perfect. Perfect. There are a few more questions, but I really think we should stop at this stage because we spent 1.5 hours at this topic. And I really hope that everybody will find it very useful because the goal was to share tools, to share some insights. And as the automation and AI are coming very fast, we thought it's a great point that we can start sharing the knowledge and try to go step by step. What's the ICP, then the database, then how to craft messages, and then how to do the outreach. Natasha, thank you very much for being with me here on this webinar. And also I wanted to thank everybody that came on the call. I see that even on LinkedIn we have some messages, and so I would also like to thank everybody that were listening on the webinar, but also live on LinkedIn. So Natasha, any last word that you would like to say before we stop here?
thanks, Dancho, for organizing this webinar with me. It's really a pleasure. I always learn new things from you. And I hope that we can help the others that are listening to us with their outreach processes. And whatever you need help with, feel free to reach out to us.
So thank you. In conclusion, the US market, good morning. Have a great day. For the EU market, I think it was enough. I think it's a good time to grab a beer. Thanks again, everybody. And I hope to see you, everybody, even in bigger numbers next month when we're going to start talking about the database.
Yes, we see each other. Bye.
Bye bye. So stopping